for being here. Hey, Candace girl. You guys, thanks for joining me. Welcome to WTF with Wendy, where I get into your head every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I am business coach Wendy Lawson, and today, you guys, today we are talking about some of the traits that all strategic thinkers share, because we talked yesterday about what strategic thinking looks like. And I think it's possible that some people came away from yesterday's coaching session and was like, I'm not really a strategic thinker. And so I wanted to tell you today some of the traits of strategic thinkers, because I think, one, you're going to be like, well, wait a minute, maybe I am a little more strategic in my thinking than I thought I was. So I want to share with you some of the traits because I think you're going to see some of these, but you'll also see what are the opportunities that you have maybe to, if you are a little bit weaker with one of these traits, if you're like, yeah, that doesn't sound like me, what are the opportunities that you have to improve that and thereby improving your strategic thinking? Hey, Gina girl. So thank you for being here. Thank you, Replay Warriors. Let's dig into some of these traits of strategic thinkers, okay? So first one, y'all, I think you're going to love this. Oh, let me say one more thing, because I kind of got ahead of myself. I got all excited, okay? One thing I want you to really understand and feel deep in your bones, okay, is that strategic thinkers are not born. They're made, right? Strategic thinking is an activity. It's a habit that you develop by doing it. Most people are not like, we don't know how to think strategically. It's not just that's how some people just have it. Some people are just gifted and some people aren't. If you want to think more strategically, you can. Okay, it's a skill that you can develop. It's a habit that you can practice. So let's talk about some of the traits. First up, y'all, listen, you're here right now. Let me just say this right now. You're watching coaching right now. Keep this in mind when I share number one with you, okay? Strategic thinkers never stop learning. They never stop learning. So the fact that you're here with me right now tells me that there is some strategic thinking in you, because you're committed to learning. You're committed to getting new information and learning new things. You know, strategic thinkers are they're a curious people, you guys, right? They ask why, or why not. They don't just accept things at face value, right? They want more information. They see possibilities everywhere and are always on the lookout for more information. And have you guys ever experienced this? Like I know I do. I'll be reading something or I'll be doing some research on a specific topic, and in the book it'll say something, or, you know, if I'm watching a video, I'll learn something and it applies to whatever I'm being taught. But I also see that and I'm like, oh, well, what could this mean over here? What could this mean in my life here? And we sort of extrapolate, okay? That's what strategic thinkers do. They see possibilities everywhere. They're constantly open to new information, and they absorb that information and say, how can I apply this elsewhere? And so strategic thinkers, now this is an important one to remember, okay? They are committed to learning from as many sources as possible. So it's not just about learning from me. It's not just about, well, I watch a coaching video for 20 minutes every single day, but it's really reading. It's, it's watching videos, it's reading, it's listening to audiobooks, but it's also going to events and talking to people who, have different perspectives that you would never have considered. That's all learning. Okay. That's all learning. Gina, you're an information sponge, always looking for new things, delving in deeper in topics that interest you. That's fantastic. Now, remember, strategic thinking is you're learning and then you're applying. So you can be a sponge, you got to apply it though. All right. I think in our culture today, there is an emphasis on, you go to elementary school, you go to middle school, go to high school, maybe you go to college, maybe you don't, maybe you go to trade school, right? And then you get your education, and then you're done. And you go out into the world and you live your life and you have your job, and end of story. But when you think about any position, any career that has licensure, right? If you have to have a license, so if you're a doctor or a CPA or a lawyer, or if you have a credential from an industry sort of an industry standard, right? Like if you are a member of I'll use a past one for me, the Public Relations Society of America, right? You have to maintain a level of ongoing education to maintain it's not really a credential, but you know what I'm saying. So when we think about these industries where there's typically licensure involved, they recognize that education is ongoing, right? You have to be learning all the time. It's not just you spent 5 years, 6 years, 8 years, 14 years, however long it took in college and you're done. You have to continue learning. And that's strategic thinking, right? Because you know that there's going to be new information. You guys, there's new information today that didn't exist yesterday. There's new information. There's changes happening every single day. So a strategic thinker really never stops learning. She's a lifelong learner. She knows she has to be, because the world we live in isn't static, and it's not just, I know everything I'm going to know and poof, it's done. Okay. The other thing strategic thinkers are really, really good at is asking for advice. And I want to break this down for a second because, strategic thinkers, they're lifelong learners. They're curious. They're constantly learning. And they seek out the opinions and advice of others because they know that they don't know everything, right? They know that there's other people are going to have experiences. There's data that they're not, they don't have access to, that there's perspectives that they can't consider because they have this viewpoint and they only see it from their viewpoint. So a strategic thinker really seeks that outside advice, seeks outside opinions, looking for that data to draw from. They ask the questions and they test out ideas and they understand that they're not in a bubble, right? And I think I'm probably a strategic thinker. I think I've been practicing my strategic thinking for a while because I think this is one of the reasons that I love masterminds so much, which if you've ever participated in a mastermind, mine or someone else's, it really is about bringing people together. And at least in my, the mastermind that I run and ones I've participated in the past, you have a time where each member is in the spotlight and they say, okay, here's my problem. Here's my challenge. Here's my obstacle. Here's where I'm stumbling. Help me solve it. And that's truly what as asking for advice. And you're getting so many different perspectives because people see things differently, right? So strategic thinkers ask for advice and they're open to it. They realize they don't know everything. Okay. Strategic thinkers, y'all, this one you might not like, but they're risk takers. They are not risk averse, right? They are willing to take a risk because they know that there's a certain amount of risk involved to get anywhere, right? You can't always play it safe. Sometimes you have to take a risk. Otherwise, you won't be able to get to the next level. And if you want to go forward, right? Remember, strategic thinking is all about where am I now? Where do I want to be? And how do I get there? You're going to have to take risk if you want to innovate, if you want to solve problems, if you want to be excellent in your field, in your industry, in your job, there's going to be a level of risk taking there because otherwise, if you just stick with the status quo, you just do what everybody else is doing, you're never going to be excellent because you're going to be just like everybody else, right? So it takes a level of confidence and sort of chutzpah and, willing to throw yourself out there, which is risky. There's risk associated with that. And strategic thinkers, they're okay with that. They're like, you know what? Failure is an option. It can always happen. It's part of the deal, but it's an opportunity to refine and get better, right? So strategic thinkers, they'll take a risk. Now, it's a calculated risk because a strategic thinker is going to analyze everything, right? They're going to analyze it through. They're not going to just jump. So when they take a risk, it's somewhat of a calculated risk, but they're willing to take that risk. They're willing to take the risk. They're not going to sit on the sidelines and just do what everybody else is doing, okay? And then the fourth one, and Gina, I'm not calling you out. I'm just saying this one might apply to you, okay? This one might apply to you. Strategic thinkers stay focused. They stay focused, right? So we talked about first, they're lifelong learners and they're constantly seeking out new information. They're getting advice. They're doing all these things. When you're doing that, it's easy to get off track. It's easy to say, oh, I'm going to go down and Gina, I'm not picking on you. I'm not, okay? To to say, oh, I have this interest. I want to learn everything that I can about this thing. So I put on my blinders and I learn just about this thing. But then what happens is I'm not working my business. I'm not doing the things that I need to do because I'm so focused on learning. You guys, I love you enough to say I do see this occasionally where someone will get so excited by taking a course or learning a new skill that they become they just bounce from course to course to course, skill to skill to skill. I'm going to learn, 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 right? I'm going to be able to learn it all, but then there's no application because they're not focused enough to actually implement what they learned. So, you have to remember as a strategic thinker, you can't lose your focus of why you want to get where you want to get, right? Strategic thinking, where am I now? Where do I want to be? How do I get there? Well, if one of the ways you get there is by learning a skill, you can't go so deep into learning the skill that you get off the road to getting towards your destination. So they stay focused, right? They keep their eye on the prize, on their business, on the project, on whatever it is that sort of put them into this learning and asking for advice. They're open to all that, but it's all, how does that serve me in getting down the road? Gina, focus is not your forte. I know, girl. It is hard. It's hard. But it takes intentionality and it takes, being strategic, right? You can be a strategic squirrel, you guys. You can be a strategic squirrel. This is the time that I have allocated for this. I'm going to spend my time doing this. But once that timer goes off, right, I got to put the squirrel away. Got to put the squirrel in the closet or something. I don't know. Wherever you keep your squirrel, you just store it there. All right, you guys. So those are some of the traits that all strategic thinkers share. And I hope that you're like, I do that. I could do that a little more. I'm definitely a lifelong learner. I know y'all are lifelong learners. You wouldn't be here otherwise. But so think about how you can implement those other 3 traits if they're not ones that you're super strong in. Okay. Hey, guys, I'll be back tomorrow. Listen, if you didn't know this already, I love you madly. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you later. Bye.